I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment, and we have none other than the boy Wonder Job doing some production work for us. We'll see if we can get him to sneak in here for the second segment when we do a little way too early. Way too early. Let me do three way too early for the mid-major top 7 for 2026. Yeah, I know things just ended. But we'll do that. With that being said, Mike is out on assignment. But welcome to episode 759 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small. From the NCAA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. And don't let me bury the lead, Charles. I heard we have a good one over there in the Chris Paul HBCU Classic in Atlanta. What's the score now?
Yeah, I mean, it's really good. Jackson State was down by as much as 11, but the hard charge here in the last couple of minutes. But Hampton has just opened back up a 7-point lead. Jackson State had cut it down to 2. And it looks as though Hampton's going to get the win. They're up 82-77 now with about 4 seconds left.
Yeah, wow. Interesting. And the nightcapper is between right after this game.
Who is
and you had the Division II programs while you pulling it up played early. And we talked a little bit about the fact that you had the hometown team, Morehouse, making a visit representing the SIEC against the CIAA. And then you have obviously these matchups. This one had the SWAC versus the CAA, Colonial Athletic Association. Yes, I know they have changed their name there to the CAA in terms of the initials. And then you have a true MEAC SWAC matchup where you have Norfolk State versus Grambling.
Yeah, that's the nightcap tonight.
That should be fascinating to see what goes on in that matchup. We might sneak some of that in for you, give you some updates there. But has it gone official over there? Or are they still in the format?
They still have about 4.9 left. Hampton up 82-77.
With that being said, let me get to the rest of this monologue. I am your host, Dr. Kenyatta, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, as we talk about this sports business pedagogy, as we like to call it, HBCU sports pedagogy. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KSWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in a beautiful home at Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, getting this a little bit as we talk about that HBCU sports pedagogy, we had a show Tuesday that took a deep dive that even had Charles scratching his head in the history books a little bit. We'll see if we can get back to that. This time we're going to look at it not in terms of coaches, not in particular one program in terms of them looking at the best history, but we'll stretch it out a little bit from programs in terms of who's hot, who's not right now for the first half of this decade. So we'll do that at the end of the show and give you some data to kind of support what that looks like. But with that being said, let's get into some numbers. A lot of people around here like numbers all of a sudden. Like Mike says, data points. Well, we got us a data point. We didn't break that data point for everybody down, Charles. Talk about the 2025 Cricket Celebration Bowl viewership.
Yeah, big news coming from the Cricket Celebration Bowl yesterday, but the 2025 Celebration Bowl featuring Prairie View and South Carolina State drew an average of 2.3 million viewers on ABC. That is a 12% increase from the prior year, reaching a peak of 3 million views during its thrilling 4-overtime conclusion, making it the best rated HBCU championship since 2022. And that's highlighting the game's growth and national appeal. So kudos to John Grant and the Celebration Bowl for and the teams, especially 4 overtimes, 2.3 million viewers. That's huge.
Yeah, I agree. That's pretty good. At plus 12% year over year, highest audience since 2022. And the peak of this game, not the peak of 2022, but the peak of this game was at 3 million. So that was fascinating. And I'm sure that was at the point that it went to overtime. But I'm sure in that second half, that 2.3 million showed up as there was a ball game to be had. Good stuff. Higher viewership again, as you said, since 2022. Strong numbers signal increasing popularity of HBCU football on a national stage. Benefits from primetime exposure and compelling matchups. The success follows a trend of growth, with the 2024 game seeing significant increases, proving the quality of HBCU football on a national platform performs well. They even had a breakdown in terms of percentages of the ethnicity, and some people were surprised to some degree. I was not. That you had a significant percentage, the largest percentage of the viewership happened to be European Americans or whites, as some people say around these parts. So good breakdown with others being on the backside of that. But firmly, no matter how you look at it, when you talk about these numbers, that's a good thing in terms of the business of HBCU sports, which we've seen a lot of lately. Any last thoughts you have on the viewership, Charles?
And it's very interesting because I think you'll get some generational change. I think, and I mentioned it while we were down there in Atlanta, but I had my students. They were texting me, they were watching the game, or they were emailing me, they were watching the game, and I think that's huge because all throughout the semester, we talked about how important television is with regards to this game and where we are moving to with regards to HBCU athletics, things being more on television and ratings being a metric now of whether you have success and you start, you have this age-old debate, people talking about attendance, until the TV numbers come in. So, you still have this generation who is buried in, seeing fannies in the seats. And you have a generation coming behind them that understands that that's not the primary metric anymore.
That's true. And the next one that you want to add to that is not just the viewership audience, but the total viewing audience, a TVA. Will be interesting. Viewing audience will be intriguing too, which includes the streaming numbers, which even kicks it up, which we know is a different platform. So yeah, there's a different language in terms of this, and people are always talking about schools getting their value. But part of that value is not just attendance, because obviously, as much as you would want great attendances and need to have great attendances, no matter what the facility, even unless you're at a place such as Texas, Ohio State, Michigan, where they have these 100,000 seat, Tennessee, even 100,000 seat palaces, if you would. They're not just interested in that, but the viewership really is what allows them to get the financial windfalls that they get in terms of putting that gulf in between what they're able to do and what other programs can't do. With that being said, I want to take a little privilege. You announced this last week when we talked about Dr. Roderick R. Paige. He is on the name of the college education building right here in Houston at Texas Southern University. They had a lay in state yesterday on the campus. Fortunate that it was here in this very college education named after him. And you may have seen that, and you talked about it yourself, Charles, particularly with the connection with him in Mississippi, President Jackson, coach of Jackson. People forget, or may have forgot, that he actually was an interim president there at Jackson State for a minute as well, Superintendent, Secretary of Education of the United States, which is quite amazing. But you know what really fascinated me is just the old academic, right? Charles, he did his dissertation, and it was there at Indiana University. And another colleague of mine, Coach Moreland, actually did his master's in secondary specialist degree that you don't see everywhere. They have it at Clark Atlanta University places. He did his in a university. So a lot of folks during the time where you couldn't necessarily get postgraduate education, and frankly, to some degree, even undergraduate education here in the South, a lot of folks, as we know, went Midwest and East Coast, North, if you would. But he did his dissertation. And I mentioned this to you, but you'll hear it again. You'll be like, that's right. The effect of pre-forward period preparation and forward period duration upon the response time of football linemen.
Interesting.
In
where did he get his literature review on this?
1969, coming out of the earning the doctorate, PhD, if you would, in kinesiology. That was just fascinating to me. And guess what? We have reached out, Dr. Howard Henderson, to Indiana University's library, and we have a copy of the dissertation coming to us. We're going to do some work to honor Dr. Roderick R. Paige. I wanted to get that on the table in terms of HBCU, long connected in various points with many HBCUs, specifically two in terms of Jackson State University and Texas Southern University. Fascinating in terms of where he began, humbly in a lot of ways, and where he ultimately ended up. So rest in power for sure, as he is now an ancestor. And I'm sure looking down and watching over both Jackson State University, Texas Southern University, and in a lot of ways, probably all HBCUs for that matter. But I had to get that out there because, you know, that's just what we do on this side.
Very interesting. I saw a lot of tributes. I saw some of his former players who played for him. Very interesting one. He followed Big John Merritt at Jackson State. So he comes the 1963-64 season. But I was just kind of fascinating to see the similarities to now because from talking to a lot of players around that time period, John Merritt was kind of the coach prime of that time. Flamboyant guy, drove a big Cadillac, big guy, cigar chomping, and recruit.
Charles, how many of our legendary HBCU coaches did not have a big person?
That is a great point. That's a great point.
And I'm not trying to take anything away from Coach, but I just wanted people to understand
it was big personality.
What kind of legacy we have in HBCU sports, because they were dotted across the landscape. Billy Nix right there at Prairie View A&M University, where a lot of Prairie View folks are still chasing his ghost in terms of what he was able to do, legendary status. And to let you know how legendary status he was, while a lot of folks were worried about what Prairie View and where they came from, whatever, folks that were deep-seated with Prairie View and were sitting there, they were talking about, including myself, is just getting back to our roots in terms of how they dominated not just the SWAC, but HBCU footballs in the 50s and the 60s. Obviously, they took a huge sleeping hiatus for a long period of time, which was undergirded by what most folks kind of fall asleep on Prairie View now with that 80-game losing streak. And credit to KJ Black and the rest of the team members, Dr. Henry Frazier III, and defensive coordinator Heights Northern in terms of what they were able to do to get that championship in 2009. this period here had a lot of folks remembering and recognizing that in terms of the run that Prairie View had. Be fascinating to see Coach JaH'son and his ideas of maintaining it more like Coach did there back in the day, Billy Nix. But Stephen Gaither, you come across, you're talking about these infamous and famous coaches in terms of what they did out in the landscape, whether it was Wiley University, Big Ben, I tell you about that, John over there at Southern, Grambling, the legend of them all in many ways, grandfather. They came late in that generation, but stuck around and made a major footprint on HBCUs and the NFL for that matter, and other coaches that looked, and too many to name because I don't want to leave some of them out. Obviously fascinating for those, but those are just some that kind of dot your eyes. But yeah, you're right. Big personality. Big personality.
I'm always fascinated by the coaches of that time period because they knew the talent that they had on campus and they saw what was on the horizon, in terms of,
they did.
where these athletes could end up.
We see that now with a couple of comments that Coach Grambling's Coach Eddie Robinson talking about where he saw football was going. It took a little while, but he saw it. With that being said, let's take our first break, come back on the other side. Let's get into some of these way too early rankings, Charles. See what your thoughts are and see what I got there. We'll be right back after this break.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Lab. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Lab, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
To these colleges, and we have to fund our kids in these colleges, and we have to make sure our kids have seats in these colleges.
And what about HBCUs? You mentioned
absolutely. You got to fund them all, and you got to make sure they're properly funded. The real reason why I went after Comcast and Charter, it didn't have anything to do with my cable networks. It didn't. What happened was a gentleman wanted to do the Black College Sports Network in partnership with the HBCUs. And Comcast did not accept it. And that would have made a lot of money for these black colleges.
Absolutely.
And it would have educated the Black College Sports Network. This is what he wanted to do. That would have educated a lot of black kids. And when they didn't do that, that's when I came off the bench and said, okay, I'm going to light you up like a Christmas tree. Okay? That was the real reason why I got into it, was when I saw what happened with the Black College Sports Network, which I don't own. I just knew.
Why didn't you buy it?
I just knew. I just knew that these black.
I like that talk.
All right. I knew that these black colleges were going to benefit, and these black kids were going to get the education that they deserved and not have to pay.
There's a shot. Right. Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
For
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to love and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I thought we were gonna get Ja and potentially AD to join us, but they might pop in here to talk a little bit about this mid-major. Let's do major first, and then we'll bring them in on the mid-major segment. So go ahead and slide into this top 7. This is what I have for the top 7. The way too early 26 preseason ranking. And some of this might change as we've heard players get into the transfer portal, which is one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up a little bit. Right? Now, as we bring in AD on the major division talk, and we'll bring in Ja on the mid-major talk. He is there in Atlanta working at Chris Paul HBCU basketball. Obviously, the Jackson State Hampton game just ended, so he's able to jump on here before the next matchup, which features Grambling State and Norfolk State. Should be a good one. I'll certainly be tuning in for that. But let's get into conversation while we have AD. Number 7, I have Delaware State Hornets. Coach Jackson has been a hot name. Some people were suggesting that he was in the top 3, if you would, for the Southern. Obviously, that has went to Coach Falk. Then we found out later that some people were potentially maybe trying to get him to come back home to California to Sacramento State. If you would, AD, as you're waiting to talk, put it on mute. We're getting some background as we're talking through that. And then number 6, we'll go to Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. They close out the season strong. Have a lot of pieces still there. A lot of pieces we already here finished in terms of senior year. But then that transfer portal, what will that look like? It gives it, Charles, and it also what? Take us away.
Yeah. It swings both ways.
Yeah. But we have number 5, North Carolina Central Eagles. I imagine a lot of that is going to be based on head coach Trey. Even though we heard that he was gaining some interest there, but working to try to get him a contract extension. I heard they had a board meeting on that. We have our favorite SID, or one of them out there, the University finding his way in the mix. Shout out. Much love.
Hey, he always finds his way on TV, man. Always.
And we both lost today. Top it off.
It happens. At number 4, those Jackson State Tigers. This is on the football gridiron. You got to believe T.C. Taylor will be back in the mix. He's going to have a pit in his stomach without being able to close the door. Part of that was injuries at the quarterback position. He still found a way with a backup to get to the championship game and host it. So, take it away. We've seen some folks in the transfer portal, but if anybody can go get them, you got to be one of those folks with T.C. Taylor. Number 3, Prairie View A&M Panthers. Coach Jack came in hot first year, D2. Told everybody he was just a D2 ball coach, but he set the bar extremely high, and all but a couple of plays certainly probably would have succeeded even the wildest people's expectation. Not sure his, as he said he clearly wanted to get it all done. But got to believe he's going to be in the mix. But some people said, watch out. Southern might be back in the football business, and Grambling is not going to think too highly in terms of how they finish the business. Texas Southern said, hey, we came down last year, the year before last, I guess you would say now as we getting in the new year, and we took one away from Prairie View in their home football field. So they say they got something to say about this too. Then you have Alabama State. Another Eddie George in terms of getting it done right there. But we did hear about a quarterback going in the transfer portal. But what some people may not realize is coming into the season, when you looked at camp, the backup quarterback that came in and won those last 5 games and came in the second half, and made sure that the Hornets got it done on the road at Prairie View, they were neck to neck coming out of the fall summer ball. So they still may be in the mix. Mm-hmm. Number one, South Carolina State Bulldogs. If you doubting Chinnisberry now, I'm not sure what to tell you. He's done it on multiple levels. He's been undefeated for 4 straight years. At some point, you got to understand that he just doggone good coaches. He would like to say and told everybody that went viral on social media.
He kept receipts.
Yeah, receipts, and showed the receipts out for everybody to see. And literally now has 3 championships in 4 years, 2 at the mid-major level and 1 at the major level, which included not only a conference championship as he did back-to-back with no losses, undefeated in all 4 of those conferences, and a victory in the Cricket Celebration Bowl, playing a team that was hot as any other team out there in the marketplace. With that being said, I'm going to start with you, Drew, 80 Drew. What are your thoughts about this way too early, 2026? Go ahead, 80.
All right, I thought you were still going. Obviously, you have to start with South Carolina State and the job that Chinnisberry has done. Chinnisberry has showed that despite the turnover, that he has the ability to still get it done. Same thing with Coach Tremaine Jackson, although I don't know if you want to call it turnover or just the fact that he brought a lot of his players with him. I am interested in seeing with Prairie View, will there be any of the holdovers from their previous institute? Alabama State, not worried about them long as the other quarterback stays at Alabama State. 2 teams I want to keep an eye out for. First of all, before I even say this comment, I've been here at the arena all day. Any coaching news come out today that I've been?
No, I did not hear any.
Okay. So my comment
is a good question at this time right now.
yeah, because I've been here at the arena all day, haven't really been checking my phone, so I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. But if the rumor mills are true with the leading candidates at both Florida A&M and at Howard, let's watch those 2 schools, because there will be a lot of players who come from the leading candidates' previous institutions in both places that can play at this FCS level and do some things. So those are 2 teams that I think will get their way into our top 7 by the end of the 2026 season.
I like this. Say those 2 teams again.
Florida A&M and Howard. Based on who they say who the lead candidate is.
If everything is trending what we seem to be obvious, particularly with Quinn Gray stepping down, and more importantly, what we've seen lately is the trend with Coach Jackson and Prairie View last year, the last 2 years with Chinnisberry and South Carolina State. Who's to say that a Division II coach that has had a lot of success can't come in and have similar success? Now, some folks in Baltimore will be a little disturbing about that, because they're saying, what are we waiting?
What happened to us?
Yeah, what are we waiting? But that's a different thing. With that being said, Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of this top 7? What triggers you? Where do you say somebody has to do more than what you see at this point? Obviously, you reserve the fact to change this when the way too early comes out. And then when the truly 2026 preseason ranking comes out, you can change it again.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is some of the known quantity, at least. You've seen the backup quarterback at Alabama State, Tayshawn Smoot. You saw backup quarterback at Jackson State. And to have that signal caller come back, that automatically vaults them back up toward the top. I mean, because everything kind of builds off of half quarterback, half wins, So I think that's big with regards to Jackson State and Alabama State. I'm curious to see how Prairie View goes once they go through a recruiting cycle now with Tremaine Jackson, especially with the toys that they have out there on the hill. I think that's going to be very interesting, especially going out and finding a quarterback, finding another receiver to replace Josiah Rockwell. But I think those are 2 huge deals that I'm really wanting to see. I think AD touched on something in regards to, the coaching changes at Florida A&M and Howard. How does that upset things? Walker Harris not being at North Carolina Central, that concerns me. That was a known quantity that was at North Carolina Central over the past few years. So, too early to tell, but I think, there are some building blocks. Can Delaware State keep Deshaun Jackson? That's huge. So I think, we know his name is bouncing out there with a few teams. So it'll be kind of interesting to see going into over the next 10 days exactly what might happen.
That is an excellent point in terms of what that looks like. If we would, go up 2 slides previous to this where we talk about the census SWAC expansion. And out of those 7, 2 of them are on this list. We won't break this down because we did this Tuesday, but I do want to put this out there. These are the top 5 programs. And one of the reasons in terms of as the potential coach coming in, these teams, at least from a SWAC perspective, have been consistent. One of the things that was amazing to me that all 5 of these teams had winning records, not just that, but they've done it over multiple coaches.
Yeah.
Some of these institutions have done it with multiple athletic directors and presidents, chancellors for that matter, right? So that's fascinating to me when you think about what these look like and what they did. That is Jackson State leading the way with 3 Celebration Bowl appearances, 1 championship, and 1 appearance as a championship, not getting it done, meaning they got 2 championships among those 3 Celebration Bowl. FAMU 1 in terms of Celebration Bowl championship, as well as a SWAC championship game championship. Prairie View 1 Celebration Bowl appearance, 1 SWAC championship trophy up there in the stable, and 2 appearances. You have Southern with 2 appearances, but haven't been able to crack it to get the win to get to Atlanta, nor has Alcorn State even been able to get into the Celebration Bowl. And this is after they dominated for 6 straight years, getting to the SWAC championship game. A couple of them at a neutral site, 2 of them at home in terms of what that looks like, getting it done. But since expansion, they may not have been able to crack it. So I was fascinated with that. With that being said, let's take our next break. We'll come back on the other side and get into the way too early mid-major top 7 and see what folks have to say about that. We'll be right back after this next break. This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2026? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 30th to February 1st, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's get into this mid-major division way too early, 2026. This one may be even more challenging in terms of the transfer portal, but I guess just as much, but probably more in terms of signing day because it goes on a little earlier. But you have some coaches that have been stalwarts in this league. You see, I start with number 7, which is Albany State, Golden Rams. 12-2, 8-0. They have one first place vote, but their head coach has stepped down. But this is a program that we'll do in the last segment that people may not realize, that it's a great program to go there because the expectations are high and people win. Since 2021, they have 2 SIAC championships with 2 different coaches. Mm-hmm. So the expectation, even though if some players leave, you're going to be able to get some good players. And so if they can name a good coach, they'll be right back in the mix. So don't be surprised about that. Maybe not at the top, but they'll be in that top 7 for me. I'll see if you all agree with that. Number 6, Dr. Henry Frazier III. We talked about him a little bit earlier. Virginia State Trojans. Been in the mix, played for a championship, CIAA-wise 2 years ago. I think they'll still be in that mix. But you have teams like Fayetteville State Broncos out of CIAA 6-4, 6-1, 160 points there, what they did in the season. They had a good run, and they've had championships over this half of a decade as well. No, Kentucky State Thoroughbreds have surprised everybody this year. Will they stay in the mix? Are they the real deal? They've transitioned coaches, so it's always challenging to see Kentucky State in terms of getting a little bit of stability. Keep the coach. You would think that would be a good thing, right? Yeah. Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls have squarely shown that they're going to be in the mix. After getting over the hill, you got to believe that recruiting is going to be the support they're going to get from those boosters now that shows that they can get it done in the university. You think would be in a good position, right? Golden Bulls. I think they'll be right there. Virginia Union Panthers. Oh, Doc over there and just quietly just keeps churning. Can't quite get that final knock on the door to get to the FCS level. But with all those Virginia Union fans, they're like, that's okay. Mm-hmm. We'll continue to do your thing here, Coach, and we'll have you. Benedict Tigers. Intriguing to see what you all think about this. This is a program that has gotten it done with 2 different coaches at the highest level. But I'm not sure people thought they would be here. But with the change at Albany State, can they be the crown of the SIAC? Can they continue? Can they get over the hump? Can they get it done and get back to winning the SIAC championship? Charles, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts about what this looks like?
The one that's very interesting to me is the one right in the middle, right at sitting at 4, is Kentucky State. I'm curious to see where Kentucky State is, where Felton Huggins can he get that team, in that top 3, in that top upper tier up there. When you're talking about Maurice Flowers and Virginia Union, I mean, those are stalwarts. I think Virginia Union is going to be there. I think Virginia State is going to, put their foot on the gas again to get back up in that upper echelon. But I'm curious about Kentucky State. I was very impressed by them this past season. I did not see that happening. It's just like Delaware State. We haven't talked about Kentucky State in a second or two. But for them to get back in the mix and play good football, they're back in the football business. So, and Benedict, that's the wild card to me. Did not see them, finishing where they did. So, Ron Dickerson, in terms of what he's able to do there at Benedict, sustaining it. That's going to be huge. But he proved to get it done. I believe that his second year there at Benedict.
Yes.
So
this will be his third year. Remember the first year is when everybody was like Benedict was out of the football business.
Right.
They said no, not yet.
And like you mentioned, Albany State. Like I expect for them to continue to do what they do with Gabe Giardina and Quinn Gray and you talk about South Georgia football hotbed. So they'll keep players. So Albany State, like I do expect them to continue to be in that top 7 now.
I agree with you. Great points you make there. Let's go to AD and get his thoughts on this. And then we're going to get the boy Wonder John here. That's SIAC expert in a lot of ways. With that being said, AD, what are your thoughts about this? You made too early?
Before I get to that, all y'all SWAC basketball fans, somebody Google number 15 for Grambling State. I don't know who he is, but Grambling State has 5 field goals. They got 11 points. Number 15 has 3 dunks of the 5 field goals, including one of them being a poster. But anyway, get back to the question at hand, y'all.
Great update. Great update.
But getting back to the question at hand, Benedict has showed their propensity to be there. Albany State legacy program. If they're down, they won't be down long. I'm curious to see what the Virginia Union will do if the move is made. Virginia State has been kind of a legacy program that has always been there, but a lot of Virginia Union's success has been up under Dr. Parker recently. So I'm really interested to see how they go. JaH'son C. Smith. JaH'son C. Smith was Delaware State of the CIAA until this year. So with all that being said, I want to look at some legacy programs. Tuskegee. If we think about it, honestly, Tuskegee went through 3-4 quarterbacks this year. So with Tuskegee, with a signal caller, will they get back to that legacy program status that they have always had? Fayetteville State. I'm sorry, Fayetteville State is going to be there somewhere in this big. You just might as well put them on there because for them not to be in the championship game was an anomaly this year. What other program that I'm looking for out of the CIAA is what's Western Salem going to do up under their new coach? I'm really interested to see what that. But I want to leave a little bit of something out there for Ja, so I'm going to cut it off right there.
Great stuff. We will go to mute there, AD. Ja, for those that don't know, he's been production extraordinaire and doing a lot of stuff on the back work, and particularly with the graphics. I'm not sure people have done that. Many of you do follow him. You followed him on the social media where he's kept you up to date, specifically with the SIAC as well. But Ja, I want to get your thoughts on this. Way too early. Top 7. Where are you on this?
I want to start with Benedict. I don't think they'll be at the top. They're losing too much.
1 year wonder under this new coach. Wow, that's tough.
I'm not gonna say 1 year wonder, but it's not going to be this year. They're losing too much defensively for me to have any confidence in them because
that's where they were good too. Yeah,
they're losing their top 3 tacklers to graduation, and Tometrius Patterson, who was all SIAC second team, he just hit the portal. He's getting Division I offer, so I know he's going. They're also losing their best weapon on offense, Jackson Williams. All the punt returns he had, he led them in receiving yards and touchdowns as well. He's in the portal. And I think it's just going to be too much on them. I'm not going to say they're going to be at the bottom of the SIAC because there's a lot of teams that are in a worse position than them, but they won't be number 1. I think Kentucky State may take it I know it's super early.
I like that.
I know it's super early.
What about that? Go ahead.
Kentucky State, from what I've seen on the player side, they are retaining a lot of talent. Mostly quarterback Denham Johnson is staying. Last year they hit the portal hard for for weapons like John McCall and Darius Cyprian, but they're graduating this year, and I know he's just going to come back and reload the offense. I don't think the offense is slowing down anytime soon. But like this year for them, I think they fill in around the edges. I think Kentucky State's right back in there. Albany State, as you guys have been saying, they're a program. I don't think they have any issue. They'll have any issue coming back. I've been watching them since I was like 8, so I know Albany State football. I think out of the last 4 head coaches, all but one won a conference title. So I there's no doubt they'll be back. Maybe, well, definitely not this year, but it's not going to be long. I wish I had more to say about the CIAA. Actually, Johnson C. Smith, they're about to fall off. I'll leave it as I'll try to play that as simple as that. They're losing too much offense.
Why up the hammer at the end?
Besides, I think they're retaining their leader rusher Bobby Smith. He was a redshirt freshman, so I think he's coming back.
That's big.
They're losing two of their best receivers. Kelvin Durham's graduating. I don't know if I see it right now. I know they've had back-to-back good years, but I'm not seeing it for right now. I'm an SIAC guy, but I'll look more into them and see. But as of right now, I'm not seeing it.
Well, you got a lot of time to do that. As I said, this is the way too early. So this is the perfect way we look at this. So no problem in terms of what that looks like. So, which was the actual final poll. Do another slide and slide down. Because I want to put that in there because it really stayed the same. But I did want to say that there was one team that we jumped in there. So go to that next one before we take this last break, where things were mixed up in there. Is that the same as the last one that we have on there?
This is the last one, actually.
Okay. So with that being said, let's take our last break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll get into some more talk. Let's break down where we're going next. So stick with us. Be right back after this break. We're going to break down programs, Charles. Who are these real strong programs? And what do they look like? And want to get your thoughts on that, particularly over this short period of time. We've done this earlier and we broke down historically going back to the beginning. We looked at it over periods of times. Now we're going to do this last period of time, which is SWAC expansion and MEAC contraction, and see who are the teams that have been able to stay at the top. We'll be right back after this last break.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU stories with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
It's the 37th annual Zora Festival. It's in Edenville, Florida, Saturday, January 31st and February the 1st. On Saturday, the all-white party tribute to Frankie Beverly with May's guitarist Jubu. Bread, Sunset, and Taisha Will. And on Sunday, the Line Dance Party Live with Jeter Jones, Mike Clark Jr., and Boss Lady Coco. Tickets available at zorafestival.org.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. So I wanted to bring up this next slide here. We'll go back over the old history that we did quickly, just to know where we went back to 1920, essentially where HBCUs, where you're looking at the Pittsburgh Courier, multiple other articles you had. We need to go to the one that's the vertical historical concepts presentation, if you would, Ja. So that's it. Looking at 1920 to 2024, we did this because folks were talking about the blue bloods. And so we kind of broke that down. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, if you would, in terms of who were some of the highest tiers that had success. When you look at this total championships over this period of time, Charles, you had FAMU, Tennessee State, and Grambling at the top there. Southern right in the middle, and then you have Jackson State, Prairie View, Morgan State, South Carolina State, A&T. And this may have changed when you talk about the last 2 years. This is 2024, this last year, how that would change for maybe even for South Carolina State. But this is overall. So you got to put in a lot of work. You have to be extremely consistent. You have to have a couple of breaks. Because at this point, Charles, as you recall, unlike what we have in this modern time over the last 10 years for the major division, specifically when we get this last slide for the last 5 years since SWAC expansion and MEAC contraction, this is the time when you had newspapers do championships. And so, you have various regional opinions and folks that may have been a little stronger in the region, more branded at that period of time, may have got a little bump versus other ones. So then I said, well, let's contract a little bit. Let's talk about over a period of time when things change, which is that next slide, which goes from 1978 to 2024, right? Which talks about major division in terms of when you had your true classification, teams start to join NCAA, coming out of the NIA era, no association era going back to 1920. And you see that you have major programs that really get things going. You see it from a different perspective. When you move up to 1978, you get a different window of what that looks like. You see some programs that kind of drop off the map. Other ones obviously jump in there. So I won't go down that because you can see the helmets. And if you're a true HBCU person, you certainly know these helmet logos and what they represent in terms of the program. Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3, Charles. Now, as we break it down a little further, we get into this modern era. This is when I get into the business, specifically back in 2002. not just covering HBCU programs, but doing the poll system, myself, and getting voters to get into this and vote and look at it differently. So if you go to 2002 to 2024, now 2025, over a 20-year period, getting close to 25 years, you see a little change in terms of what that looks like when you talk about that heavy tier, medium tier, light tier, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, if you would. You see the difference. You see it broken down major division. We wanted to make sure that mid-major programs got their just due. So you see the different separations where Langston and programs like that, Winston-Salem State, Tuskegee, consistently will all be there. But another program out of CIAA kind of gets their weight up. And this last one really gets into this Celebration Bowl era, Charles, which is more dictated to major division, but you still have a lot of the playoffs. You certainly have the Dr. Cavil mid-major division ranking where we did break that down. And you see a delineation, if you would. In 2015, you see this Bowie State and the Bulldogs, CIAA really staking a plant in terms of where they want to do. You see A&T that wasn't there in terms of the beginning of 1920, but with their success in the early years of the Celebration Bowl, they're right there in terms of what that looks like. And you start to see programs move up and come and plant their flag. North Carolina Central, Jackson State, South Carolina State, if you would. Gramblin's still in the mix there. And Benedict quickly rising in terms of what they've been able to do over this period of time. And you see some of the other programs that may have been a little higher start to slide just a little bit. What is that? Well, I wanted to get into this last slide here with this SWAC expansion era, MEAC contraction era, short, brief period of time. Essentially, we're just talking about this decade, if you would, halfway through it. Who are the programs? And I wanted to put the note here because it's halfway here, and I wanted to see how much of this would change over the next 5 years, especially with so many things changing, Charles, so rapidly. Fascinating to see what you think about specifically that slide, which is South Carolina State, the major division, 2 Celebration Bowl victories now. Benedict up there with 2 national championships. But you have tier 2 right there, Jackson State getting to the Celebration Bowl 3 times, winning the championship. Central getting there, winning a championship. FAMU, Central getting there once and winning a championship. FAMU getting there once and winning a championship. Then you have Virginia Union. Talked about Albany State. Since this time, they've won 2 championships, 1 national championship, if you would. Virginia Union, multiple championships, conference championships, playing in. They have, obviously, the championship game, so it's measured a little differently. Bowie State getting in there, kind of capping things off before they have fallen off after they're losing their coach in a lot of ways. They're tier 3 teams that have been able to get to Celebration Bowl, meaning they've won a conference championship, if you would, Prairie View and Howard. Fascinating to see what that looks like. And then on the other side, Johnson C. Smith getting over that final hump. Miles, Golden Bears right there. Fayetteville State over the last 5 years being in the mix to win conference championship. Then you have those teams that have been able to at least play for championships. Interesting to see there is Clark Atlanta, who just let their coach go off after his second year where he goes down a little bit. But Tuskegee, at the beginning of this, after they fall off, you got the question whether they'll be able to jump back in there. Virginia State, Dr. Henry Fraser III, saw him play for the championship. And then Southern has played for 2 championships over this 5-year period. So, Charles, program-wise, we did this with the coaches and told you, Chinsbury, what that looked like in the past in terms of his square footprint. But what do you say early in terms of this 5-year period, half of this decade? Jackson State clearly in terms of living through one of their best decades. Where are you? One more Celebration Bowl and they squarely move up to that tier 1. Might be able to argue just because they've been there so much, should they still be in that tier 1? I'm open to that.
And
your thoughts on this?
And at the same time, I don't want to discredit the ability to get to the Celebration Bowl, winning the SWAC championship. So I think that's still that still matters. Just to be in and around the mix of that.
So would you slide him up to tier 1?
I would slide Jackson State up to tier 1, especially after looking at the 36-4 record over the last 4 years. That really jumped out at me, and I knew it was good, but you can make a very good argument this could be the most Camelot era of Jackson State football. Talking about from 2021 to 2025. Over 2 coaches, with Coach Prime and TC Taylor, with a national championship in there. And it's not disparaging any other time period at Jackson State, but 36-4 is amazing. And like I said, I wanted to go back and examine the 85 to 89 seasons where there was a 28-game SWAC win streak. But the issue, and I've said this for a long time, my issue was even when they were winning the SWAC title year in, year out, they were never voted, national champion.
Charles, that was before my time.
I know, huge issue.
I'd have took care of it. You wouldn't have to worry about it, Charles. I'd have.
Right. But no, I think it's fair. I think it's fair to slide Jackson State up to tier 1. Obviously, South Carolina State, by virtue of 2 national championships over the past 4 years, they are secure where they are.
That's Benedict to the right for the mid-major.
Yeah.
They having the 2 championships.
Yeah, Benedict stays put. Chittisberry, I mean, imprint on both of these tier 1 teams.
I was just going to say the common denominator that AD pointed out, and I wanted to see if you caught it, and you just did, is at this tier 1 right now. You could make the argument Jackson State should be in there because of what they've done with 2 coaches, obviously, in that period. But the common denominator at the tier 1, at least from what is here with multiple championships, even though at South Carolina State, 1 was Chittisberry and 1 was old coach Buddy Pugh, that now is the AD has won a championship. Well, you talking about closing that strong on multiple legacies.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
Chittisberry. Woo all those programs, strong. And I know some of the folks called him and interviewed him. You talking about what you should have do to woo him over to you, outbid South Carolina State?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what becomes very interesting to me,
yes,
is if I'm a program and I see the success.
Yeah.
Chittisberry has from Benedict to South Carolina State, I have to at least bring him in to talk. I have to at least say, hey, listen, we got to back money.
I feel you on that. I was talking about the ones that brought him in, talking with him, and didn't put a contract in front of it. But you're talking about now.
It's still some
the other thing that's interesting to me when you look at these programs, when you look at like a Prairie View, you look at South Carolina State, where they went Division II wise and picked up their coach. You have now it looks like another coach out of the SWAC is going to make that move. Ben Gray obviously doesn't just give up a program without understanding that something is close, that there's at least agreement. You might have to have board approval, and we've seen that go left. So let's keep that in mind. But Dr. Parker over there at Virginia Union.
I guess the question becomes with Dr. Parker, are you looking to go younger in terms of your
I mean, it has to be obvious, but I'm saying I'm just pointing to the data, as Mike Washington would say. I'm pointing to the data. Now you got 2 data.
Data is what the data is.
We got Miles College, and obviously we see that Alabama A&M, and you have Morgan State. So that's the other side of it. We got to be fair in terms of what that looks like. Coach Wilson has had a couple of years, but it'd be interesting if he can figure it out. Then you really got some major data points. Then you got Coach Slade right there at Alabama A&M.
Yeah.
I'm going to the second year. How much muscle can he get going in the second year? If they two coaches can turn it around, boy, hey, that'll be fascinating to say that you need to kind of understand where people need to go, or at least the information is out there. Programs, presidents, and boards can do what they want. But I'm just saying.
Man, I just thought about it. You know, hell, if I got a coaching vacancy right now, huh?
Ja says he comes back and he wanted to make a note as AD. He said Miles should be hired. Miles should be hired. He says Miles should be hired because of their championship and been in the championship game. 2 coaches. They slid back this year, but he said they should be hired. Ja, final statement before we close.
So who are you replacing?
No, this one you don't have to necessarily replace. You just
Okay.
slide them up. You just saying instead of tier 2, they should be instead of tier 3, they should be tier 2.
Okay.
Just like you said with Jackson State, you don't have to take South Carolina. You just saying based on their body over this 5 period, you're saying with the 3 cricket celebration appearances and 1 championship, that should give them enough to bump them up from tier 2 to tier 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will put Miles in tier 2, only because 2021 we have the championship appearance. 2022 first year Shanaf Shay's new regime. Next year we're one game and probably a quarterback injury away from the championship game because our starting quarterback. I was Miles College. I'm a little biased. I'm saying.
You sound like Charles over here, man. but go ahead. Make your argument. I want to hear it.
2023.
Yes.
Our starting quarterback went down against Albany State on the first drive of the game. We ended up losing that game.
True. I did see that.
Then we played Benedict. We gave Benedict a run for their money. We only lost that game by 5. And they ended up blowing Albany State out of the championship. I'm just saying.
If we doing this, I can say if the field goal kicker doesn't miss the kick, you should be in tier 2.
Hey, you could. You're right. What you saying?
Charles can be like, if the tight end makes a coach, there ain't no question they in tier 1. The tight end doesn't drop a ball, excuse me.
I just think they should be in tier 2. Two title appearances, 1 near appearance. It should have been an appearance. And then we've done it with 3 different coaches at this point in the last 5 years.
That's a pretty good point. But they only got 1 championship. Even with the championship, they should be. I'll give you that. I'll take it. Problem is you had Bowie State in the way, you had Virginia Union in the way, which hasn't allowed them to have a national championship. Year they got it done last year was the year they were in the championship, made a deep run in the playoffs, at least winning multiple games, playing multiple games. But the problem is you had Dr. Parker and you lost to Dr. Parker. Dr. Parker didn't play a better game in terms of Valdosta State. So that second tier is supposed to be a national championship. That's the only reason why they're not there. But I get it. I'll let you slide with that. You made a decent argument. With that, let's close it up. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. I'm just glad that you didn't say they should have been up there because of attendance, Charles. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock right here on Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I will say a shout out to AD and Ja for joining us and giving us some insight. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's DrKenyattacavil. That's Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Horse.
Lecture? Ja? Dismiss.
Dismiss.